Now, if you want to become an unbeatable iron player, then doing these two drills that you see here, Rory McIlroy has been doing a ton over the last couple months, which has for him resulted in immediately winning the DP World Tour Championship. But this will also help every single amateur golfer out there improve their iron play, because this is targeting the right arm and perfecting that movement. And as we know, if we get good right arm movement, we're going to be an extremely good iron player. So what are these two drills? So drill number one that Rory is doing is getting himself into a good set position with his trail arm in the takeaway, which we're going to dive into in depth. And he swings up and swings through. Really, really awesome. And the second drill with a ball training aid, and here you can see him with the JChownGolf connector, which also massively helps with his trail arm movement. So let's dive into that first drill, why Rory's doing it and how it's going to help you, and the same for the second. So the first drill here, Rory and his set position. So setting into the takeaway, swinging up and swinging through. So for Rory, what that's doing, that's stopping him from where his poor right arm movement can start from. So Rory can sometimes get his trail elbow moving a little bit behind him. It would almost move quite straight of a right arm movement in that early backswing. So then as he gets up to the top, the trail elbow gets a little bit pointing behind him, a little bit flying away in some internal shoulder rotation, and that can get him a little bit crossed up at the top. Now Rory does something that we see a lot of very, very good golfers do. If they're at this across the line position, they will almost have an over shallowing as the club starts to go down. They'll actually start to see the club steepen a little bit in transition, but then quickly get more and more behind him as he comes down. So that's how Rory can hit those big blocks and those big hooks out there as well, especially not great for irons. So that's where for Rory there, him just getting himself into a better spot in that takeaway where he knows he can pull this trail arm in, get it moving overly straight. So if he gets into that takeaway position and makes sure this elbow is a little bit more pointing down, a little bit of give into that trail arm, like it's having a little bit of a bend, a little bit of a fold, gets into that position, stops in that takeaway, and then swings up and swings through. You're going to see immediately as you get up to the top, that trail elbow, where is it pointing now? It's pointing a little bit more down towards the ground rather than behind. You can see what's that doing to the club shaft, making it a little bit more down the line rather than across the line. So then as he starts down, the shaft pitches a little bit better straight away in a tiny bit of a shallower angle, but then he won't continue to shallow it more and more from there. He can just turn through, and that neutralizes ball flight. So doing this drill for him really helps him calm down a big dispersion. So even for, again, one of the greats of the game, Rory McIlroy, they're always working on tightening that dispersion too. So this is where famously with this drill, what he's been doing, this was right before he won the DP World Tour Championship. He was hitting balls into his simulator at home with the screen off. So just like here with me with the net, why he was doing that is because he could get into the position better when he wasn't seeing the ball flight. So that's where we can sometimes get distracted by ball flight and absolutely trying to chase it going really well, where we know when we're working on something brand new and changing something, the shot at the start might not be too desirable because we're doing a brand new movement. Our body's not used to it. It's not used to coordinating it. So Rory, of course, knows that, and getting into the better drill position, softer right arm position, elbow pointing more down rather than straight and behind. Doing that without seeing the ball flight, just to start off with, is a great way to go to get your body to do it. A lot of players, again, who are working on their golf swing, the reason why they can't make that change and really struggle in the early stages of doing it because they're caring too much about what that ball's doing. Over time, absolutely we need to care about what that ball's doing, but early doors, not so much. So the second drill, we can see him using this exact training aid, JChownGolf connector. So this is a ball training aid that goes in between your arms. So just like we described with what Rory can suffer with, right arm moving quite straight and pulling back, getting him into this internal shoulder rotation movement. If you do that with a ball training aid in between your arms, it will want to fall. Now, JChownGolf connector won't necessarily fall because of the rod going for it, but of course, if that right arm starts pulling back in Rory's fault, the gap between your arms is going to get larger. So for Rory, using this keeps that space in between the arms constant, lets the trail arm fold up better with the elbow pointing a little bit more down in that more externally rotated shoulder position, and that shaft immediately at the top becomes a little bit more down the line or slightly laid off, which is what Rory is looking for. And it's so important doing that. Becoming a better ball striker means you have to do less in transition to get down on there. So a really, really good one though for Rory, even again, one of the greats of all time, using a training aid that specifically targets his fault. If you've got a training aid out there that will specifically target your weak area, you're going to improve in that area a lot quicker than if you didn't have one. So really good, keeps that space between the arms in a good spot, prevents him from that poor trail arm movement. Really good training aid. So this is how it helps Rory, but how is it going to help all of you with these two drills out there? So this same issue a lot of amateur golfers have. Now, amateur golfers will do it a little bit more extreme than Rory. So we quite often see this big pullback, like a starting the lawnmower move with the right arm, really pulling it back behind you, creating this huge gap, trail shoulder going into internal rotation, big across the line shaft. Now, most players from here will keep this trail arm massively behind their body, behind their seam line. They're going to get really steep, and quite often they'll just tumble the club straight out in front. You could quite often also see amateur golfers from here early extend to pitch the club back again, because when you stand the body up, extend the spine, you're going to see how the shaft starts to pitch back, which will be in reaction to that steeper shaft created by the big pull-in. So we'd see over-the-top golfers absolutely have this move, swinging over from there if they continue the rotation and stay in posture, or like we said, early extenders if they react to the steep shaft. All of it, no good, but such a common thing. We might see some do it a lot, might see some do it a little bit, but regardless, big problem. So that's where I would recommend this exact same two drills. Again, vast majority of the golfers on the planet could do this drill and really benefit a ton. So again, if we're going to run through those drills, so I would want you to do both of these drills. So that's where, if you can get yourself shaft parallel to the ground, slight bend in the trail arm. So a lot of golfers who suffer with this problem that Rory does, they set up a little bit poorly. They'll have this trail arm in this internal rotation to where the underside of the forearm is pointing just down the target line or slightly right. That sets you up into a position where you can't fold up that trail arm. It can only move inwards. So not good. Get behind the seam line, disgusting stuff. So we want to have this trail arm with that elbow, inside the elbow, pointing in front of us, maybe slightly to the left. Then that sets you up into a spot where you can fold, and make sure it's not dead straight locked out. I see that so often. So many golfers are just dead straight, just so tense there. Relax it a little bit, because we've got to fold it. So if you're going dead straight locked out, you've then got to unlock it and fold it. That's ridiculously hard to do. So good trail arm position that's set up, so crucial. Now, Rory already does this, so it tells you it can still happen when you are in that good spot. And just make sure, okay, shaft parallel to the ground in the takeaway, little fold up of the arm, keeping the elbow pointing in or slightly down towards the ground, keeps you in front of the seam line, starts off the folding sequencing, and then just swing up and swing through. Your trail arm's going to be working in a much better fashion. Again, really, really good one to do. This is great to do as a pre-shot routine as well. Getting it here, swinging up, swinging through, great for the driving range. Go into the shot. Okay, you could have a little few rehearsals like so, and then just replicate that exact same thing. Awesome. Okay, so that's where you can do that drill all day long, and you're going to benefit from it really nicely. Now, for me though, I prefer doing something that has a little bit more of an immediate feedback. And that's of course with a ball training aid like we see Rory using, the JChownGolf Connection. If you want one of these, there is a discount link in the description. So if we were doing that drill, getting it into that pause position and then swinging up, there is still the chance we could have that arm pull behind us if someone's really used to doing it. You won't be able to do that with this in between the arms though. So that's where you would have to keep that trail arm closer to the lead arm, which means your right arm's going to be folding better. You're going to be in better shoulder rotation, so better externally rotated position. And we're going to have that elbow more pointing down. So that's going to get you into that better spot like we want to do, get you into that nice shaft position, not really across the line, so then you can start that downswing with a much better move. So again, let's get ourselves there. Brilliant. So like we said, this will keep you in that spot really nicely. This will get you into that good trail arm movement without you even trying. So let's do one more and then we'll wrap it up again. Exactly why we're doing this. Really nice. I use this training aid a ton for my own game. Again, multiple reasons this is good. So, okay, got to remember, okay, why we're doing this. Why are we wanting that trail arm to be in a good spot? Because it prevents us from having a funky shaft angle at the top and trail arm from getting behind us. So if we are having that good trail arm movement, folding up, elbow pointing down, We're going to have the elbow right arm in front of the seam line, which means as we turn down, we're going to be able to deliver the club onto the golf ball better because our arms are nicely in front of our body. We can just use the body rotation to get through the shot nicely, and it requires a lot less timing. Think, imagine if we were back here, we have to time the throw into the shot. But also, as we know, shaft angle. So just like for Rory, he was getting to a better shaft angle at the top, a little bit more of a laid off to down the line angle. So then when he starts the downswing, it's already that little bit shallow. Doesn't get steep, so it doesn't need to shallow it later. So for you guys out there, gets you shallower early, so then you can just, again, just turn through the golf ball to meet that golf ball pretty solidly. So if you can get this good right arm movement from these drills, it's going to give you a better shaft angle, better transition move with the shaft, and it's going to get that trail arm in front of you so you can just turn into that ball nicely. And if you can do those two, you're going to be an unbeatable iron player. So if you enjoyed the video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.